running with the new guidance instead of right now during this time.
Okay, I guess I'm up. So I'm going to give you a couple updates, but first off, I did invite Sandra Rondu and Kristen Mills to our meeting tonight, just because this is going to be some normalcy. We were able to have our kids participate in a field trip last week, which was the very first field trip that has happened this year. We didn't leave the building, but it was a virtual field trip that was put on. It was a leadership conference. So I'm going to have them join and kind of just let you know what the kids did. It was really pretty cool. So I'll let them join.
Great. Thank you, Jody. My name is Kristen Mills, and I am the school social worker here at the junior senior high school. And I'm also here with Sandra Rondu, who is a health and PE teacher at the junior senior high school. So as Jody said, last Tuesday, we held a virtual field trip, and it was in a classroom, and it was also remote, and it was all done via Google Meet. So we had 15 students participate in 8th through 11th grade, and it was through Michelle Fonda at New Choices Recovery Center. And the field trip was the Schenectady County Youth Leadership Conference. And we've done this field trip in the past, and we've done it before, like at the Stratton Air Force Base, and it's had a great number of hands-on activities, and it's great because the students can meet other Schenectady County students at Mohonasen and Shawmut and other districts. But being COVID, we had to change it a little bit. So it was just our school at one time. But the goals of the conference were to use the students to use and strengthen their inner leadership skills, to be great examples and learn how to be influencers to prevent serious consequences of risky behaviors, and also just in general to make their school and community a better place. So the field trip was only about 1.5 hours. It's normally a whole day. And it included Dr. Steve Burchak discussing mental health concerns and resiliency during COVID. And there was also directions for students to create public service announcements using social media such as TikTok or art. And there's also going to be a contest for our students in all of Schenectady County. And the prize for the students that have the best public service announcements, they will win their own private movie theater with 20 of their friends, and they get to watch a movie. And actually, each school is going to win this prize. So one of our 15 students will get this. And to end, there was also a young woman in substance abuse recovery who spoke live with the students about her struggle with addiction, and the students were able to ask her questions, which was great. So the students got to interact with her in real time. And we had done a focus group earlier in the year with Michelle Fonda, where our high school students had told us that they felt talking with younger students who were actually going through recovery was a very powerful influence to help them make positive choices. So at this point, we still plan to continue to meet with these 15 students to complete the public service announcement, and also make plans to promote healthy choices with them during prom, as we lead up to prom and graduation. And in the past, these students have organized a crash car on campus. They've done the public service announcements on the school morning announcements, and they've also created artwork with positive messaging around the school. So those are, what we're going to kind of use to go forward. And all the students get t-shirts and prizes also for participating. They'll all get that. So thank you.
So I just wanted to share with you guys a little something. I mean, I keep trying to bring normalcy back in. So it was kind of exciting that our kids got to participate in something. So Kristen Mills and Sandra did take the lead of it this year. It's been a great field trip, and I can't wait until we can do it again in person next year. Our kids really do benefit from it, and they do bring a lot back. So thank you, Sandra and Kristen, for taking them. I just want to give you guys a quick update. This year, a brand new course that we did offer, even with COVID taking place, was we did an AP research class for the 10th grade in English, and they're going to actually do their presentations on May 17th. So that's really exciting to actually have rolled out a brand new course in the middle of COVID. Rebecca Plus has done a phenomenal job with that. I'm actually going to go and attend some of the presentations on the 17th because the kids have really done a great job. I know that Jim has been working with one of our students and being one of his advisors. So it's really that's a big thing for us, and some normalcy again. We are definitely holding our awards ceremony and our NHS awards ceremony. The NHS is May 12th and the awards is the 13th. They will be live streamed. Joe O'Neill is currently working on getting a link, so that should be sending out. We should be sending that out probably, I would say, this week, but definitely before the event. If you haven't ordered your chicken dinner, I was asked to put a big plug in for the junior class because they need to raise funds because they want to have a prom next year. So if you haven't done it already, or if you haven't had your friends do it, reach out to Christina Goebel or Cindy Rumblad and order some chicken or some ribs so that the junior class can raise some funds for next year so that they can have a successful prom and even possibly a senior trip. I know they're planning for that. And then for those of you who didn't receive this, I did send out a letter today to all of the junior, senior high parents, letting them know about our finals schedule and our regent schedule and all of the projects that are due. Our teachers have been working pretty hard to put together the schedule so that nothing conflicts and all the kids can participate. And so that's actually going to start on the 16th of June. We're going to start our finals / regents week. So lots of big things happening in our building.
Jody, I want to say thank you for communicating that level of detail, because at that level, as you know, the students aren't always letting us know. Yeah. So certainly as a parent of a junior, senior high school, it's good to have that information. Thank you.
So I have to give credit, Deb. I did have a number of people read that read it from a parental aspect to make sure that I covered every question that could possibly be out there, but I'm sure that there's going to be a question out there that I didn't cover. So thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I think it's my turn. We finished Fall 2 last week. Our swim team, I wanted to give them a shout out. They actually placed second in Colonial Council this year, and they did that carrying a 97.8 total GPA. So that's a very big accomplishment for that team. Want to give them congratulations. Spring sports also started last week. We had a 1 week overlap, which was a little hectic, but the kids and the coaches did a great job balancing that. This spring, since they're outside sports, we're going to allow 4 guests per athlete. The coaches, we're getting the passes today and tomorrow. So they'll have those to hand out to the parents. Guests are still going to need to sign in or complete that attestation so that we still have that for tracking purposes if we need it. Masks are still going to be required for spectators and athletes. That's a Section 2 mandate. And speaking of a little normalcy, there will be postseason play for the spring sports. They're going to end the season June 16th, and they are going to actually hold sectionals. So I know the kids are really excited about that. And I just wanted to shout out our Scholar Athlete teams for Fall 2, swimming, volleyball, and boys and girls soccer. So congratulations to those teams. And they're doing it in a very different learning environment this year. So it's extra special that they're making those grades. So thank you.
Thank you, Penny. Jim?
Thank you. This is actually one of my favorite things to do. And usually I get to embarrass people sufficiently in person, and unfortunately cannot do that. So I'm going to do my best to embarrass those of you who have joined us virtually. Tenure is a really special moment in a teacher's career. It really means quite a bit. And so I'd like to take some time to recognize the folks that I'll be recommending for tenure later on in this meeting. This is a beautiful community. I think that has been, without like having to go to events and people, I've gotten to drive around the community and see just how gorgeous it is. And it really is something that probably folks who've lived here for a long time take for granted, but I certainly don't, and have had the chance to see this view at the sanctuary. And I can attest that it's a really special place to be, both in the community and in the schools. The schools, I was talking to Jody today about how these schools are gems that I think you could overlook because they're not as large as some other schools, but they're very special places. And so when we appoint tenure, what we're doing is inviting people to be permanent members of not just the school community, but the community at large. So to just give you an overview about the tenure process. So these teachers are generally hired for probationary periods of 4 years, unless they've received tenure someplace before. They're here for 4 years, so they've made a commitment to be on probation for 4 years, and they've all been successful. These probationary periods are pretty rigorous, and so there's evaluations multiple times a year. We have an APPR plan that dictates so many things that teachers are responsible for. A lot of some of their evaluations come from student performance. And so really there's quite a lot that goes into determining whether a person is eligible for tenure appointment. Observations, an observation includes somebody making sure that teachers have mastered their planning and preparation, are professionally responsible, get all their stuff done on time, that their instruction shows a level of mastery, that the classroom environment is conducive for learning. When we're looking at student performance, we're looking at, that their students can be successful on certain state measures, but also we're looking at the performance of their students in general for lots of other reasons too. So tenure is extraordinarily important in New York State because it basically means that free from discipline, teachers earn the right to keep their jobs for the duration of their career unless there's just cause that's proven in a legal proceeding. And so in order to take this step, it means that we really trust these folks. They have demonstrated themselves to be worthy of our trust, and they have shown mastery in teaching and mastery of their craft. And so what I'd like to do is take a second to recognize all the people that I'll be recommending for tenure. The first person is Andrea Amorosi, who I believe is on. So Miss Amorosi has worked for Duanesburg High School for 8 years. First as a teacher's aide for 4 years, and then as a teaching assistant for the last 4. While in this position, Ms. Amorosi has gone above and beyond in her work with teachers, students, and families. Her willingness to always lend a helping hand and assist with any need in the building makes her an extremely valuable asset to the Duanesburg Central School District. In addition to assisting with academic needs, Ms. Amorosi has also taken on the role of yearbook advisor and locker coordinator. In these additional roles, Ms. Amorosi supports students as well as the district mission. Thank you so much, Andrea. Our next person is Mrs. Michelle De Leon, and I think that she's on as well. Mrs. De Leon has been instrumental in supporting all students, not just with their specific caseload. She's a special education teacher. She's always extended herself to support students with social, emotional needs, and she often gives up her own planning time to do so. Mrs. De Leon has strong relationships with her grade level teams. She advocates for students' needs within the general education classroom. Every lesson observed has shown appropriate responses to student lack of understanding, using appropriate materials to meet the needs of the students and modifications to assessments to glean accurate information. She sets a positive tone in the classroom and will use firm but supportive language. Michelle has maintained positive relationships with her families and coworkers. She volunteers to participate in the Family Literacy Night, the Scholastic Book Fair, and she readily joined the PBIS team as a check-in, check-out coach to support students at Tier 2. She has demonstrated a supportive demeanor with the students in this program. As a special education teacher, it's imperative to ensure documents are completed in a timely fashion and completed in a legally defensible manner. Michelle has shown solid skills in preparing behavior intervention plans, writing IEPs, and monitoring progress. Thank you so much, Michelle. Congratulations. Ooh, I lost everybody. Hold on just a second. The next person is Mr. Richard Duff. Mr. Duff has moved toward being a leader of our team over the last 2 years. He's taken the lead on the math committee and leads his grade level. He participates in every offering of curriculum development. Within the classroom, he designs quality lessons and has demonstrated the ability to differentiate curriculum when needed. He's used assessments to identify areas in need of improvement through task analysis and has led his team in completing gap analysis activities. He also adapts well to change. Mr. Duff is an effective instructor who treats students with respect. He tries to make his learning as fun as possible. His classroom is designed to encourage efficient function and flow. Mr. Duff brought the idea of morning meeting to the 5th grade and is masterful at scaffolding for students who provide wrong answers. Mr. Duff is a reflective practitioner. He was a very active participant in the mentor program and seeks out help when he needs it. He looks for and uses feedback to improve his practice. He effectively maintains communication with students' families and keeps them very well informed. He has joined committees, attends games, has coached JV basketball, and has coached football for 4 years. He has taken a leadership role in math and will be integral in the development of math curriculum in the future. In short, Mr. Duff is a solid teacher who continues to get better. The next person is Miss Christina Grazade. Ms. Grazade has demonstrated a solid grasp of her content. She's also taken on a leadership role within her department, assisting other teachers with technology integration, as well as curriculum development. At the onset of the pandemic, Ms. Grazade took a lead role in developing and implementing a curriculum website based on New York State math standards for the other Capital District teachers to use. Ms. Grazade's disposition and upbeat manner with students provides a positive environment within her classroom. Students enter ready to learn and are challenged by the material provided. Ms. Grazade maximizes instructional time and fosters respectful interactions with and among students, ensuring that students find the classroom a safe place to take intellectual risks. Ms. Grazade's instruction ensures that all students are highly engaged in the learning process. Explanations are clear and invite student intellectual engagement. As a result of Ms. Grazade's communication skills, her students understand their progress and can explain their personal learning goals. Ms. Grazade has taken on a variety of professional opportunities. She has worked with Siena College to develop a new technology course, which is now being offered to our students. She has also participated in various workshops and has taken it upon herself to become Google certified. Most importantly, she has used what she has learned to offer professional learning opportunities to her colleagues. Ms. Grazade has coached girls JV basketball for 4 years and modified volleyball for 3 years. Thank you. The next person is Laurel Hallberg, school psychologist. Laurel has a wide range of knowledge of various psychological assessments. She evaluates students with dignity and is able to provide families with clear explanations of future growth. Laura develops relationships with families beginning in kindergarten as part of the screening process. She also is our DASA coordinator and is a member of the elementary and junior senior high school PBIS and RTI teams. As a PBIS coach, she works with families to support challenging moments for students. As a member of the RTI team, she works with teachers on obstacles to learning and helps staff understand how developmental levels of students impact their ability to learn. Laurel works closely with administration and faculty when determining how to support students not meeting the benchmarks of a grade level. She uses her numerous contacts with outside evaluators and programs to help students outside of the school day. She has also organized the science fair for the past 10 years at Duanesburg Elementary. Laurel began working at Duanesburg part-time 14 years ago and has become an integral part of the school community. Thank you. Congratulations, Laurel. The next person is Karen Hildebrand. Karen effectively plans and prepares lessons using her extensive knowledge of science curriculum. Mrs. Hildebrand accurately answers students' questions and provides positive feedback to students' questions. Mrs. Hildebrand organizes her classroom so that all students can learn. She maximizes her instructional time and fosters respectful interactions among students. Mrs. Hildebrand's classroom is a safe place to take intellectual risks. Her handling of student behavior is subtle, preventative, and respectful of students' dignity. Students are highly engaged in the learning process while attending Mrs. Hildebrand's classes. Students provide significant contributions to the success of the class, and Mrs. Hildebrand's explanations are clear. Mrs. Hildebrand has continued to foster her own professional development during her time at Duanesburg. During this time, Mrs. Hildebrand sought out opportunities to continue to enhance her instruction. She's taken on a student teacher, has participated in the emergency building team, social committee, and science department. In addition, Mrs. Hildebrand often reflects on her own teaching results and always looks to improve. Mrs. Hildebrand has been a wonderful addition to the Duanesburg High School community. She is always open to assist with student issues and support her colleagues. Thank you and congratulations, Karen. Mr. Benjamin Jenkins has extensive knowledge of his content area, and his instructional design includes learning activities that are well sequenced and require all students to think, problem solve, inquire, and defend conjectures and opinions. Mr. Jenkins's relationships with students are positive and supportive, and classroom interactions between Mr. Jenkins and his students are highly respectful, reflecting genuine warmth, caring, and sensitivity. The tone set by Mr. Jenkins in his classroom results in an environment where all students feel valued and are comfortable taking intellectual risks. Mr. Jenkins' students are highly engaged in the learning process. His students understand their progress and can explain the learning goals they need to achieve. Mr. Jenkins has demonstrated his passion for teaching in various ways. After his first year at DCS, Mr. Jenkins took it upon himself to become AP Biology certified so that this important and exciting class could be offered to our students. Mr. Jenkins also has learned a great deal about the Google platform and other technologies and has shared his skills with his colleagues. Mr. Jenkins has been a positive addition to the science department and the junior senior high school. He's been willing to help out wherever he is needed to support our students. During his time at DCS, he has coached baseball and consistently offers to work with students after hours. He's a team player and a positive role model for the students with whom he comes into contact. Thank you and congratulations, Ben. Mr. Ryan Patry taught at the secondary level for his first 4 years at Duanesburg. During this time, he took on a strong leadership role in the PE department, assisting other teachers with curriculum and enhancing the high school PE curriculum. This past school year, Mr. Patry moved into the elementary school. Mr. Patry discovered that planning, preparation, and delivering coherent instruction for younger learners was far different than older students. He readily accepted feedback and observed teachers of the younger students to gain knowledge. He made a great turnaround in understanding the developmental levels of elementary students. For the past 4 years, Mr. Patry has demonstrated himself to be an effective teacher. He provides clear expectations and ensures student engagement, even with those students who feel less than athletic. Mr. Patry has been a volleyball and wrestling coach since he began his employment here at Duanesburg. He's currently writing up a proposal to begin intramural sports at the elementary school, with a focus on improving the physical fitness of students who otherwise would not participate in sports. Congratulations and thank you, Ryan. And last but not least, Jillian Pigliavento. During her time at DCS, Mrs. Pigliavento has served the district as a special educator, a first grade teacher, a kindergarten teacher, and finally, as the district's founding UPK teacher. She has worked with various outside programs to build this program from the bottom up. In order to do this, she extensively researched academic programs, social emotional programs, and evaluation tools in order to become an expert in the field's best practices. Mrs. Pigliavento's ability to co-plan is exemplary, as is her ability to successfully develop behavior plans and execute them. She's exceeded expectations in her ability to instruct, plan, and assess the kindergarten and UPK students. Mrs. Pigliavento consistently advocates for students at lower socioeconomic levels to attend her program. She was pivotal in bringing the administration the strong need for transportation for those students. She is a coach every year for Odyssey of the Mind, participates in family literacy nights, and helps with the annual Scholastic Book Fair. Congratulations and thank you. So I know that that took a bit, but it's really important to me that these folks know how appreciated they are. And so again, I would just like to say on behalf of the district, thank you for your work at Duanesburg. Congratulations on being recommended for tenure tonight. And we hope that you're with us for the entire duration of your career.
Jim, thank you very much for sharing all of that with the board and with everybody watching. Congratulations to you all. It's quite an achievement. Thank you to you, and to actually, I'll take this opportunity to say thank you to all of the teachers in the Duanesburg Central School District for everything that you do for our community, for your peers, and for, most importantly, for our students. So thank you guys very much. And this week and every week. And we will move on to Mr. Rivenberg to give us the public budget hearing, please.
Okay, so tonight we'll talk about the budget that will be voted on May 18th, and I will actually let Dr. Niedermeyer start off with a summary of the budget, and then I'll talk about the numbers after that.
Mr. Rivenberg, would you like to put up your presentation?
I will.
We could do it from memory at this point, I think, but. So I'm really grateful that there's a bunch of people here, even though a bunch of them are teachers, and I think I probably guilted them into coming, but I will share the budget with you regardless, because it's also a great document, and I'm proud of it too. So just to give you a sense of our budget priorities this year, it was really important to us to add that music teacher back to the junior senior high school. And so we plan on doing that. That position's been posted. We hope to schedule some interviews really soon for that. So that's one of our priorities, to get back to full strength in music. We've also done a bit of a position change. So we've reduced the position of Director of Athletics and Instruction, and instead we've added on an extracurricular activity position from the teacher contract for athletic director. And we are also adding an assistant principal and middle school coordinator to help coordinate the gap between that 6th and 7th and 8th grade program that we talked about earlier in the year. I think that's going to be a very valuable position, and I've gotten plenty of interest in that already, and I'm excited to begin interviews for that soon as well. We also plan on doing a substantial bit of curriculum development. So it's important to me that teachers have opportunities to address curriculum gaps during the summertime. And so we actually have quite a few teachers participating in curriculum writing projects over the course of the summer, and probably will continue on into the school year with additional curriculum projects, because we're just not going to be able to get through everything that we want to get through this summer. But it's really important to us that we continue on with our work in curriculum after a blip of 1.5 years where our attention was diverted. We also plan on adding some staff development opportunities to collaborate with nearby districts, to collaborate with other organizations, so that we can give teachers the professional learning opportunities that they need. We do have some insurance cost increases that the budget takes into consideration. We're also planning on upgrading our district-wide instructional technology substantially. So not only have we gone to a one-to-one program for Chromebooks, We are also going to embark on upgrading the technology in the classroom to add some things that will allow us to be more flexible in case situations like the one that we've experienced over the last year and a half come up again, but also will allow our teachers to do more things for kids in a little bit more of a flexible environment. We are planning on transitioning back to K through 12 bus runs. So that's another thing that the budget takes into consideration. But it is very important that everyone recognize that we are not suggesting any cuts to any instructional programs, any athletic programs, or any student opportunities. So that is the budget in summary.
Now, so to add to the summary, so this is just an overall look at the different categories of the budget, looking at general support, instructional costs, operations and maintenance, pupil transportation, medical and benefits, and then debt service. So the budget will add support in advancing the instructional support practices, curriculum development, and that music program back to the way we had it in 1920. So overall, the proposed budget, $17,885,000, and that amounts to a spending increase overall of $320,000, or 1.82% overall from budget to budget. Also, with that, we would see a tax levy increase only of $160,396, which represents only a 1.95% increase on tax levy. So first, we'll talk about the revenue budget, the sources of where we get our funds from in order to spend our budget. So right now, the first thing that we'll talk about is the state aid. So during the course of our budget work sessions, we had talked about the threat of state aid and how foundation aid had stayed the same. So that first number there that's at the top there, the 4.888, was that number that was kind of frozen right now at the beginning of our budget sessions. And that was the same foundation aid that we had seen in 1920. So from 1920 to 2021, we saw a 0% increase on our foundation aid. Fortunately, now they have come forward and gave us a 3% increase on our foundation aid for 21-22. And that was that big, this is what covers the cost of increases for our expenditures for the school budget. So very important. It's a really big portion of our budget to see that increase on the foundation aid. As we move further down, BOCE's aid, hardware and technology, software, library, textbook, and transportation. Those are expense-driven aids. So again, during our work sessions, some of those expense-driven aids were also threat that they were going to freeze those aids as well. They did come forward and allow us to continue with our expense-driven aids. So those aids have changed a little bit since our work sessions. Building aid pretty much stays the same because that's based on our projects that we had voted on prior, and those were already set in stone when we had made those agreements with the state. So overall, we're looking at, without the consideration of the UPK money, which is actually also in our state aid projection. So we're looking at $8,389,265. So it represents only about a 0.57% increase on our state aid. However, this is a jump from where we were, before as we were coming through our work sessions. So the other portion of our revenues, the other large portion of our revenues would be the tax levy. So the tax cap, though, represented an actual 4.45% increase, which allows us to actually increase our tax levy up to $365,839 from year to year. In developing our budget this year, we did not go out with a 4.45% increase and go up to that 365,000. We actually went out with a 1.95% increase, which only represents that 160,396. So overall tax levy amount will be $8,385,866. So you can see over the past several years, we've actually we've remained quite lower than our actual tax cap, especially the past couple of years. So in 2021, same thing. We had a tax cap that was over 5%, and we only went out with 1.9%. So in order to consider the cost of increases, we are increasing our tax levy a little bit, but not nearly as much as what we are allowed to do. So just an overall look, revenue summaries. You can see that between the two categories that I just spoke about, they both represent about $8.3 million. Also, because of the cost increases, we have also, and the state aid not increasing as much as it could have, we are also balancing our budget with a little more fund balance than we've seen in years prior. So we've gone up to $884,869. That's that combination of the reserves. So we would use some of our reserve funds, and then the rest would be an additional fund balance from savings. So that makes up our $17,885,000. That's of course with those other combinations of other revenues and Medicaid revenue sources that are projected to be about $225,000 as well. And this is just an overall picture of what our budget looks like for revenues. So the revenues, our sources for state aid and real property taxes, represent and have for many years the around 46 to 47% each. So they kind of balance each other out as they increase. So as our costs go up, our revenue sources kind of stay the same as well, and they balance each other out as we go along. Fund balance and reserves makes up that other 4.95% of our revenue source. So that's staying somewhat consistent. In years past, we've been around 4%. We're going up a little bit higher than 4% this year, but overall kind of staying around the same. So just a summary of our revenue budget. State aid is based on the new budget that was put out extremely late. We were waiting, chomping at the bit until the very end. The state budget represents a positive outlook also for future funding. But we, so looking at that also, we got the foundation aid increases at 3%. Tax levy increases only at 1.95%, while the tax cap remains at 4.45%. This includes a use of the 4.95% increase on fund balance, or use of fund balance and reserves. So just thinking ahead though, with our budget, with the promise that we are going to see foundation aid increase overall in the next few years, we still need to consider that reserve funds can be used to fill gaps, but there may be some fiscal cliffs even in years to come. So we may have just prolonged a problem by funding the gap that was in the near future. It might be further out. So we are thinking about those as we develop our budgets moving forward, including this budget. We're cautious about how we develop this budget so that we could make sure that we're going to be able to fund programs and not make any cuts in the future. It's very important that we keep our instructional program going, that we don't have to see any layoffs, that we can continue the opportunities for kids. So we just need to be prepared for that. And as we will also work in our long-range plans in the future, we'll discuss that as well at other sessions. And we're also going to need to plan for rising costs. Benefit costs are going to be a big thing, just like they were this year. It's assumed that we're going to probably see those for the next couple of years. Maybe not as significant as this year, but it's something that we have been thinking about in our planning. So our expense budget, this is a wider look at what was seen on the second slide in our presentation. Just kind of breaks it down. I'm not going to read all these off to you, but you can see the overall expenditure increases and percentages for each of the categories. Just looking at that overall proposed budget at $17,885,000. And then our budget, this is a look at our budget expenses. So our instructional budget represents about 50% of our overall budget. And then the rest of the categories, you got operations and maintenance represents about a little over 7%. Transportation, a little over 6%. Medical and benefits is actually around 20%, which is pretty consistent with prior years as well. And then debt service and transfers is around 11%, while operation and general costs is also 5.69%. This is an overall look at the component budget, the three-part budget. So this includes administrative, program, and capital. In years prior, this has it's pretty much around your program. Your program amounts represent somewhere between 70 and 75% of the overall budget. Administrative has been pretty consistent as well, around 8%. While the capital has stayed around that 18% line. So you can see that overall our program portion of the budget represents that largest portion, that 3/4 of the percentage of the budget. So our overall budget, $17,885,000, spending increase $320,000, represents just a overall spending increase of 1.82%. Tax levy increase, $160,396 with a 1.95% increase on your taxes. And also on the budget proposal will be a separate proposition to purchase 3 new buses to keep our bus purchase program going, so that we don't have any buses that rust out or fail inspections. We will be looking at 2 30-passenger buses this year and 1 71-passenger bus. So all of these buses would be fueled with gasoline. So right now we do not have any more buses on our fleet that are fueled by diesel. We have gasoline buses and propane buses. So we have found that now the more efficient gasoline buses have been great for long distance trips as well. So we're looking at a bus purchase proposition not to exceed $242,000 to purchase these 3 buses. And I'd like to remind everybody, please do not forget to vote on May 18th. It will be at the Duanesburg Junior Senior High School from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m.
I'll just to tack on, because it's not part of the budget, but still is important. So there is also the federal stimulus money to tackle after we have settled the budget. And so we'll have a pretty limited time to make plans for how we're going to spend the stimulus money that's been allotted to the district. So we've already started to think about some ideas. And so those will be some things that we talk with you about in the future. But you should know that all of the things that we'll be proposing for use of the stimulus money line up directly with our plans that you can see in our strategic plan. And also you can see in the 5-year kind of projected budgets that Jeff has prepared. So we're not going to propose anything that's out of line with things that we already thought were best for our district, and we'll try to supplement as much as we can to try to mitigate the learning loss that might have taken place this year with students. So more to come on federal stimulus money, but first, the budget.
Thank you, Jim. Does anyone have any questions for Jeff or Jim regarding the budget? All right. Thank you guys very much. Appreciate the continued level of transparency and detail into the information available to us and to the general public. We will move on to a presentation and approval of prior Board of Education meeting minutes. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the meeting minutes from the April 13th, 2021 meeting as submitted. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
I got Diane first, and it's Shane, will you second?
Sure, thanks.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, next item, recommendation that the Board of Education accept the meeting minutes from the April 21st, That's amended, Celeste. 2021 Special BOCES Board of Education meeting as submitted. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Next item, recommendation that the Board of Education accept the meeting minutes from the April 27th, 2021 Special Executive Board meeting as submitted. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Diane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Betsy. Any comments or questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on to new business, Board of Education Standing Committee reports. I am unaware of any committees that met, at least none that I am on. Were there any others?
Deb, policy did meet, and we have a couple of policies that we're discussing tonight, and that's what we met about. We don't have another anything else scheduled. We're still waiting on Erie for the kind of finished product to bring to the entire board, but we'll discuss those 3 policies tonight.
So Teresa, as I was thinking about policy, a question came up. I'm assuming that the policy will not be in a printed binder, that we will have an electronic searchable version of our policy document. Is that a true assumption?
Do you want to?
Yeah. So the most important part will be that it'll be loaded directly into board docs, so it'll be searchable by us and by the public. And I bet you we'll probably get some big binders too. We can probably make that happen as well.
I would love one of those for my desk.
I mean, who wouldn't?
Well, I'm sure everybody, speak for the entire board. I'm sure we all would. To commemorate the time spent, correct, Teresa?
Yes, yes. Maybe some wine too, but yeah.
I'm gonna have the committee sign mine, I think.
That's a great idea.
I like it.
But that's all we have.
All right, thank you, Teresa. Any other committee meetings?
Deb?
Yep.
You had indicated that the board minutes of April 21st were amended. What was being amended?
No. The date on the agenda, it still said the 13th.
Well, we had 2 meetings. We had the regular meeting on April 13th.
And then there was in the agenda, it said April. When I pulled off my copy, it said the BOCES meeting was the 13th. It also showed that. If that's incorrect, then there's no amendment.
Okay. All right. I'll check because I have the 21st, so I wasn't
Then
sure.
it could be perfectly fine. It could have been me picking up the wrong information. So no, there were no amendments to the minutes themselves, Celeste.
Okay. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. No problem. All right. We will move on to board items. We are going to begin with approve amended appointments. So approve amended appointments effective May 4th, 2021 for the 2020-2021 school year, followed by recommended appointment. So there's a list including deputy tax collector, ECA treasurer, property control manager, authorized signer for general fund, official bank signatures. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Shane. Do you have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. Are there any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on to financial items. We'll begin with accept contract with Rensselaer City School District. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the health and welfare service contract between Rensselaer City School District and Waynesburg Central School District for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Betsy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Teresa. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on, accept claims auditor's report. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the claims auditor's comments on general warrant A16 in the amount of $358,633.94 dated March 31st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. Any comments or questions? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on, award cooperative waste removal bid. Recommendation that the Board of Education award the 3-year cooperative waste removal bid to County Waste and Recycling Services, Inc., beginning July 1st, 2021 and ending June 30th, 2024. Lead agency is Scotia Glenville Central School District, as recommended by the Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Oop, I got Shane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Are there any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on to accept contract with Middleburg Central School District. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the Health and Welfare Services contract between Middleburg Central School District and Dwaynesburg Central School District for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Diane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Oop, I jumped ahead. Moving on, accept contract with Schenectady City School District. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the Health and Welfare Services contract between Schenectady City School District and Dwaynesburg Central School District for the 2020-2021 school year as recommended by the Superintendent and Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Accept financial reports. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the Treasurer and ECA reports ending March 31st, 2021 as provided by the Treasurer and recommended by Assistant Superintendent of Management Services. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Shane. Sorry, Dan. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on to other items. Accept CSE and CPSE minutes. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the recommendation of the CSE, CPSE meetings and their minutes from March 25th and 30th, April 1st, 13th, 14th, 15th, 19th, 20, 21, 23, 26, 27, and 28th meetings. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Betsy. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions or comments? All right. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Approve revised policy 1320. Recommendation that the Board of Education approve amended policy 1320 nomination and election of board officers and duties of the president and vice president with the first read waiving a second read as recommended by the superintendent. Do I have a motion?
I'll make
I'll
a motion.
motion.
I got
Diane.
Teresa. Diane, will you second?
I'll second.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, thank you. Moving on to personnel. We'll begin with Word document scrolling too fast. Approved notice of termination, M. Hall. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Dwaynesburg Central School District hereby votes in the regard to the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools that the probationary appointment of teacher Michelle Hall be discontinued. The board directs the superintendent to notify her of the effective date of her termination, which will be effective June 29th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Shane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Any comments or questions? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Accept resignations. Recommendation that the Board of Education accept the following resignations. Tracy Coulson, Elizabeth Salisbury, Margaret Rivenberg, J. Adam Cole, Carrie Ferris. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you, Betsy. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Shane. Any comments or questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Move on to approve tenure appointments. Be it resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, hereby appoints the following instructional employees to tenure in the following tenure areas, effective on the day noted. Benjamin Jenkins, Science, September 1st, 2021. Richard Duff, Elementary, September 1st, 2021. Laurel Hellberg, School Psychologist, September 1st, 2021. Ryan Patry, Physical Education, September 1st, 2021. Christina Grazade, Math, September 1st, 2021. Jillian Pigliavento, Elementary, September 1st, 2021. Karen Hillebrandt, Science, September 1st, 2021. Michelle De Leon, Special Education, September 1st, 2021. Andrea Amorosi, Teaching Assistant, September 1st, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Tony. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Diane. Any comments or questions? I personally would like to say a premature congratulations because I'm sure our vote will go well here following. All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations to all. Moving on to approve election inspectors. Recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following election inspectors for the May 18th, 2021 budget Board of Education election vote at a rate of $15 per hour. Maxine Chrisman, Rosemary Schiffner, Forrest Holroyd, and Barb Watt. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Diane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I got Tony. Thank you, Tony. Any questions or comments? All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you. Moving on to approve ECA appointments. Recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following appointments as recommended by the Superintendent, Elementary Principal, and Athletic Director. ECA appointments are for the applicable 2020-2021 school year and sports season, beginning with preseason practice and ending at the conclusion of the season, including sectional play. All appointments are employees at will. An appointment at this time does not guarantee employment for the entire school season, term, or year. The salary for ECA clubs and activities will be prorated based on the length of season, term, year. The operation of certain clubs and activities are subject to COVID-19 related restrictions. Scott Hopkins, elementary school musical assistant. Chris Parslow, volunteer baseball coach. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Tony. Diane, will you second?
Sure.
Do I have any questions or comments? All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? New appointment, A. Bartlett. Be it resolved that the Board of Education hereby accepts the recommendation of the superintendent to appoint Andrew Bartlett to a 4-year probationary appointment as an English teacher in the English tenure area, Master's Step 3, commencing September 1st, 2021, and ending August 31st, 2025, contingent upon compliance with the requirements of the education law. Mr. Bartlett holds an initial certification in English grades 7 through 12. Do I have a motion?
A motion.
I'll motion.
Thank you, Teresa. Betsy, will you second?
I would love to.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
I'll just make a comment that it looks like Mr. Bartlett is here tonight, so I'd just like to welcome him aboard.
Thank you so much, Jim. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with you all and being a part of your school community. Thank you so much. really look forward to it.
Wonderful to meet you someday in person.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
All those in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Appointment M. Dumoulin. Be it resolved that the Board of Education of the Duanesburg Central School District hereby accepts the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools to appoint Mark Dulamon. See, Jim, you tried and it didn't work. Dulamon.
Right the first time.
Dulamon. I'm going to stop right now.
Dumoulin.
Dumoulin. Sorry, that's correct. Dumoulin. I even had phonetic spelling and it didn't help. Apologies for that. To a 4-year probationary appointment as this teacher in business education tenure area, Master Step 1, commencing September 1st, 2021 to August 31st, 2024. Mr. Dulamon is currently awaiting certification as a business education teacher from the State Education Department. Therefore, this appointment is specifically contingent upon the district's receipt of proof of certification prior to the start of student instructional year on September 8th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll motion.
Thank you, Shane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Tony. Any questions or comments? Other than I promise I will get that name correct from here forward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Moving on to approve appointment of V. Camiso. Recommendation that the Board of Education approve the following appointment as recommended by the Assistant Superintendent of Management Services and the Transportation Director. All appointments are employees at will, and an appointment at this time does not guarantee employment for the entire school term or year. Valerie Camiso, bus monitor, effective May 5th, 2021. Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Diane. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Betsy. Any questions or comments? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Moving on to discussion. So Teresa or Jim, I'll turn over the introduction of these to either of you. The first item for discussion is policy 8272 district hotspot loan program for a first read.
I'll just say that, so we've been loaning out hotspots since last March, and it's been a successful program. However, we had no policy to govern the hotspot loan program, and so that's what this one seeks to do. It does kind of give first priority to students who have who qualify for free or reduced price lunch, but there's also the opportunity to use other criteria to provide hotspots to students in need, and we'll review those loans annually. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Teresa.
I don't think so. I mean, I think we need a policy because we didn't have one, and we all of a sudden had to meet the needs of students. So we've been doing that, but we just want to make sure we have a mechanism that makes sense in the future.
Do any of the board members have questions for them on the policy or anything? It looked good from my perspective. Okay. The next policy up for discussion is 7551, sexual harassment of students, also a first read. Teresa or Jim?
Do you want to talk, Jim, or do you want me to?
Yeah, just to say that this is a required policy, and so we customized it a bit from the Erie version of it, and also have been doing some work to make sure that it's consistent with our other policies, though I think we missed a bit. And so I'll have Teresa kind of just clarify what should be different from this one.
I have my paper copy in front of me. Hold on here. So we just have some language that we've been using in our other policies that's a lot more inclusive. So we wanted to make sure that that was echoed there. And then I think we were trying to add another line that was from another policy to be consistent regarding harassment that takes place via any sort of electronic means like texting or cyberbullying and things like that. So we needed to include that, and that wasn't on the original version that Yuri sent us. So we were hoping to make those adjustments.
Yeah, I can't. Did you write down what policy number that one was?
I did not. I didn't go back after that communication, but
I should have done that. I apologize. I will take a look at that, and then for the next read, I'll include that and highlight it so that everybody can see what that language is. But it's just what Teresa said. It includes kind of the cyber harassment that can sometimes take place, and make sure that that's specifically stated in the policy.
Any questions or other comments from the board members? Okay, well, we'll see those two again. Moving on to information attached with the agenda were appreciation letters. Jim, if you want to give a little context on those.
Yep, so those are the text of what I read earlier is from these appreciation letters, and I'll tell you that they are from longer letters that were written by both building principals. So both building principals presented me with really lengthy recommendations of all the people that we recommended for tenure tonight. And they really went through every single evaluation category and evaluated the teachers based on all of those things to make sure that there wasn't any hesitation for who we're recommending for tenure. So just want to thank the principals for that work, because that was substantial and I think meaningful. And so I'll provide teachers with not only a letter that says you got tenure on May the 4th, but also you got tenure and this is why. And so they know that their principals think highly of them.
Can I ask a clarifying question?
Yep.
The letters that are actually attached to that item in board docs are directed to our assembly members and senators?
Oh, man.
Yeah, that was
sorry.
coming next, Betsy, because I was like, well, this is a different description than what I saw, but okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. So I think that did I provide you those letters though? The tenure letters too?
I think you mentioned them when we met last week in preparation for this, Jim, but I don't think.
Sorry. I'm having difficulty opening up PDFs in board docs. So I was guessing. And so I do remember these appreciation letters though too. So these appreciation letters went out.
I'm just going to interrupt you for 1 second because Celeste is correct. They are in those letters are in board docs. They're in the executive content under the superintendent's presentation if anybody wants to see them.
So, yeah. So sorry. I knew they were there somewhere. These appreciation letters go to legislators and thank them for their work advocating for the budget that ended up passing. So I've written a bunch of letters and met with a lot of legislators this budget season. This budget season was very active. It was my first being fully involved in the budget process, and it was very unusual from what I understand. And so I just want to thank all of our legislators for really listening to us when superintendents met with them to talk to them about the problems with the initially proposed executive budget. Our legislators understood what the problems were. They really worked hard to advocate on behalf of schools and made it clear that cuts to education just weren't going to fly in this environment. And that is both sides of the aisle. So we have support from Republicans, Democrats, upstate, downstate. I really want to thank our local legislators, though, for really understanding our school districts, knowing what our issues are, and making sure that they don't let anything slide when somebody's trying to play a shell game with money for schools. So that's what that appreciation letter, those letters go to.
Thank you. And then we had the budget planning calendar revision with just a change to the newsletter mailing date as far as information goes. Thank you, Celeste, for attaching that. All right. I am going to request that we move into executive session for the purpose of discussing the employment history of a particular employee. The board does not intend to return to the main meeting to conduct any further business. We will be departing here and not coming back. Do I have a motion to move into executive session at 7:43 p.m.?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Diane. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Betsy. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, we will see you momentarily in the other Google link. Thank you to those who joined us this evening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.